All right, everybody, welcome to the stream. It is really early in the morning on the East Coast.
Sure is.
It is 2 a.m. here. It is 8 o'clock in Sweden, where Martin is, and it is 11 p.m. on Wednesday, where Steven is. So it's a little time travel going on
Yes.
here. So
The most interesting one yet.
yes. So we got a great matchup from a couple of champions bringing us today for this Alpha 40 matchup. So I appreciate everybody who is here in the stream. Just real quick shout out to both Martin and Steven for allowing us to do this and allowing us to stream. We
Yep.
love Alpha 40, and it is a great group of people, and it is a great format. But couple of things. Please, if you are new to the stream, thank you for joining me. Please don't forget to follow. Join me each week, every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. That's when I play my regularly scheduled stream, 3 rounds of Old School Magic with the Northern Paladins. So go ahead and follow. Turn on those notifications so that you know when I go live. Now, for more information on Paladin Magic, Alpha 40, the Northern Paladins, you can go to northernpaladins.com and you can find out some more information there. And maybe one of these days you'll be on the stream as well, either on a Tuesday playing Old School Magic with me, or even playing some Alpha 40 with me. So again, I'm joined today by Drew Epstein. And we are coming to you live from Syracuse, New York.
That's
and we've got Martin in Sweden, and we've got Steven in California. So let's... All right, gentlemen, congratulations from making it this far, and I appreciate you allowing us to stream this for you guys. So
That's for sure.
yeah.
Now, Rich had mentioned that both of you guys are champions in your own right. Obviously, we know Steven's won some months here at with the Alpha 40 finals, but kind of an interesting little side note is I believe, what was it? Martin won the main event at NoobCon. Is that right, Martin? The same year that Steven won the Wizards tournament at that same NoobCon.
Right.
Pretty neat.
Yeah. For those who aren't familiar, NoobCon is a big Swedish old school event that happens once a year, and the prize for that is you get a signed copy of Giant Shark, and you have to continue to use that giant shark in your deck afterwards. So
wow, that's excellent.
So it's a blessing and a curse, I would say.
Right.
All right. So,
and yeah, the Wizards tournament at NoobCon is an all alpha tournament. Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
It is an all alpha tournament, but it is not with the league rules. Right. So you get some really wild decks there, and there's some videos on YouTube of those decks, and I think Steven even talking about some of his play there.
Yeah. All right, gentlemen, have you guys determined who's going first?
Yep, I'm going first.
Okay, alrighty. So we are going to duck out of the room, turn off our mics, but everybody on the stream is going to be able to hear you guys, and they're going to be able to hear us. So good luck. Thank you again, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Good luck. Keep it clean.
Yeah. So this is the first for me in Alpha Leagues. I have no lands whatsoever.
Oh, so Martin's got a no land hand, so he is going with
the mulligan.
With the mulligan.
Yes. Right. In Alpha 40 league rules, the only time you can mulligan is if you have no land or all land.
I appreciate everybody who is in the stream for this right now. So this gives some all kinds of information to Steven. So let's talk about Martin's deck. All right, so he's playing red and blue, which is traditionally not a color combination that people play in Alpha 40, and part of that is because of the fact that Volcanic Island is not in the format.
True, but yeah, I mean you're only allowed to have one of any particular duel, anyways, with the league rules. But yeah, no, that's a good point, and also one of the more interesting cards that you think would be a lot of synergy for red and blue would be Volcanic Eruption, but then you could end up destroying your own mountains.
Okay.
Volcanic Eruption has some unique interpretation for Alpha 40 League. So it's actually a pretty playable card. Maybe we'll see it.
Oh, okay. So it looks like they're having some...
I think his camera froze. Okay.
Camera issues. All right, let's... get you guys back up. Sorry about that.
There we go.
All right, yep, there were some camera issues. Hiccups do happen.
That's right.
On live streams.
Now with the first mulligan, he actually does still get 7 cards.
Oh, is that how you guys do it? Oh, yeah. Okay, so yeah, first mulligan is 7 cards, but you guys have a modified mulligan if it's still all land or no land. You guys don't want non-game, so
correct.
So when it comes to Alpha 40, that means you get you reveal your hand again, and then it would be mulligan down to 6.
Correct.
Okay, all right, so that's fine.
If I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm trying my best to do at 2 a.m.
Yeah. Island go. Okay. So, Steven's on the blue cards as well.
Yep, and we're off. So this should be a pretty interesting matchup, actually. I really like the decks, which we took a sneak peek at, and of course we'll show the lists later on after the match.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, looks like we have the illustrious Michael Angelo Russo in the chat.
Yeah.
So being that both players are playing blue, I think that's why we're seeing a bit of a slower start here, because there's going to be some counter wars, I anticipate.
Phantasmal Forces, I love that card. And yeah, the answer is no. Phantasmal Forces is a 4/1 flyer for 4 with an upkeep of a blue. The alpha card has a misprint on it. The upkeep is just the letter U.
So far, we're only seeing blue from Steven's deck.
Yeah. And we saw one counterspell already in that power sink. So I'm assuming that there's going to be some more counter magic coming from Steven as well.
Right. And the question is does he play the kind of watch and wait game? Or does he try to get something in play here since Martin is tapped out and can't counter in return.
Shade Statue.
Very excellent card in this matchup.
Yeah, very good card in Old School Magic and in Alpha 40 as well. Pretty difficult to deal with.
Right, because you need either some sort of multiple instant, level removal to get rid of that 6 toughness, or a Swords of Plowshares or something along those lines, or of course, artifact removal.
Right. So how frequently do people play Shatter when it comes to old Alpha 40?
It all depends. I've been seeing a little bit more of it getting played. Since the meta more recently has seen a lot of things like Jade Statues and Icy Manipulators and all kinds of other control type cards or life gain artifacts. I think Shatter is a pretty playable card in the format.
So 2 turns in a row, Steven has opted not to attack. So what that leads me to believe is that if he does have some kind of counter spell, it's not strictly counter spell. It's going to be something along the lines of another Power Sink or maybe something
like
something
a Spell
else.
Blast.
Yeah, could be. So protecting the mana, making sure that he can actually use those cards. So Martin really hasn't done anything other than get that Phantasmal Forces countered. So
I think he's anticipating a lot of counters as well.
Right.
So he wants to make sure that, if he's running any counters, he has enough extra mana to counter the counter.
Discarding a Tim. Okay. Now, one thing that's interesting about Alpha 40 is, it's the 40 card decks. And there's no sideboards. So
that's right.
There might be some main deck cards that you would normally consider a main deck card. So is it possible that we would see Martin with a red Elemental Blast or blue Elemental Blast in his main deck?
It's pretty unlikely.
Okay.
It's pretty unlikely.
Air Elemental. So that's a lot of mana. And it resolves.
He lets it resolve.
Wow.
Because he's
Side blasting it. Okay.
I'm wondering if the Side Blast, getting rid of the Side Blast might be better for Martin than a counter. I'm not sure. I guess it depends on the makeup of Steven's deck.
Right.
Because it's at least not, 4 damage he's not taking to the face.
Exactly. Now, we will show the deck list after everybody, after the match is finished. Oh, Granite Gargoyle.
One of my favorite cards. The art is just gorgeous. Christopher Rush art.
Absolutely. And, it's just an innocuous 3 mana 2/2 flyer.
Yep.
But it's just so good. And it's a rare.
It's a rare. It's got a very unique ability with the pump for toughness. And it's red and it flies. There's not a lot of red flyers, which is why it's rare.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Straight up counter spell.
Yeah, you can see that Steven's definitely being very, very frugal with wanting to use his counters because he wants to make sure he retains enough for the things that are really going to matter. And then, this first game is going to definitely be more of information, finding about Martin's deck and knowing, what the the stronger threats are. And so I think, in the next game we'll see some tighter decision making because, kind of know a little bit more what to expect, I think.
Sure.
Whereas right now he's got to be, he's got to play it cautious.
Yeah. Yeah, so he had that counter spell, which is good, but again, and Angelo pointed this out in chat. Power Sync wouldn't have stuck there. Yes. So the counter spell is necessary, and that's why Steven is holding back the Jade Statue.
Yeah.
But chances are pretty good now that he's starting to attack with that Jade Statue that he has another hard counter spell.
Right.
In his hand finally. So now he can
Martin looks
stop
like
a threat.
Martin snuck in a lightning bolt in there for 3 points.
Yeah. The Jade Statue basically represents 2 mana for a Lightning Bolt every single turn. Les Martin can get something on the table. Alright, Soul Ring. Alright, so that's what he's got for fast mana is his Soul Ring.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think we see that more often in...
Oh,
wow, that's a fatty.
Yep. That's a nice bomb. Now, Martin does still have 2 blue open, so if there's a counter, he could try and maybe counter the counter.
I'm assuming that Steven has a second counter spell of some sort.
Oh, wow.
Martin does not have a counter spell back. Yeah, because if Steven had a power sink there, then he could have countered an opposing counter spell. Yeah, this Jade Statue is definitely causing some problems for Martin.
It's very difficult to deal with if he doesn't have the shatter.
And we've seen it
or an unsummon, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it in games in the past where Jade Statue is just something that is so difficult to deal with.
Yeah. Yeah, because you can't hit it with a sorcery.
Right.
Okay, so Steven's tapping out.
Steven is tapping out. So this is Martin's turn to do something. Martin's in the tank here. Oh, he does have a counter spell. Look at that. Okay.
Huh. Interesting.
All right. So he doesn't keep his Shivan, but he does counter the Icy. But now he's got a free roll here. So anything that he casts is going to resolve. Now, it looks right now that Steven is just mono blue. So I don't think that we're going to see a whole heck of a lot of removal other than Psyblast.
I mean, and could it be that Martin used the Shivan as just counterspell bait?
It could be.
You know?
And maybe he just has a bunch of stuff in his hand that costs, high amounts of mana.
Right.
It does happen, obviously. I mean, variants still exist even in Alpha 40. Okay, what do we got here? Another 6 mana.
Oh.
Mahmadi Jin.
Another bomb.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really glad that he was able to capitalize on Steven being tapped out there. That was very cunning play.
Yes.
And obviously that's why he wanted to counter that Icy.
Okay, there's another
brutal.
Icy.
That's brutal.
All right, Steven has 3 mana up. So, is Martin going to let this resolve? Okay, he did let it resolve. Okay, so Steven no longer fears the 5/6 flyer because of that Icy Manipulator. Five cards in hand, 2 mana open.
And Steven's just playing so defensively.
Right.
Very tight play.
That's a lot of blue. Brain Geyser? Oh, big fireball.
And he left 1 open in case there was a power sink. Smart.
Yeah. Okay.
So how much was that for? That would be for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8-point fireball, it looks like.
Seems good. All right, and he already hit him with that lightning bolt earlier. So, I mean, that means he's taken 11 points and he's down to 9.
All right, Martin's down to 11.
That Jade Statue is definitely doing some work here.
It's a pretty close game.
Now, if either of the two of them is using the blue lucky charm, what is it, Crystal
Rod?
Crystal Rod, is that what it's called? Then that could end up being a pretty decent... Oh, he's at 7 from the Psyblast. Thank you, guys. Yeah, Crystal Rod could end up being a decent life gain card in this matchup because both of them are playing blue. Now, in Alpha 40... the Lucky Charms work a little bit differently than they do in modern Magic, contemporary Magic. So instead of being able to activate it once, you get to pump mana into it.
Yeah, you can activate it as many times as you want. So the current interpretation is that at the time the spell is cast is when you would pump the mana.
All right, so he's power sinking for 3.
I'm kind of... I guess he was just trying to
he
go
left
for...
2 up, yeah.
He was trying to just go for the win.
Right. And I don't blame him for that. Got to do it, right?
I might have been a bit more conservative, knowing that he had the 4 mana out, but... It could be that he has another X spell for next turn.
So Fireball and Disintegrate both see some play in Alpha 40, right?
Tons of play.
And how many of each can you play?
You can play as many as you would like.
Okay, so that is that's a frightening thing to think about. If you can play multiple Fireballs.
Yes, and Fireballs,
3
just
and 10.
being able to kill multiple things with a Fireball is amazing. Oh, here we go.
Volcanic Eruption for 3. All right, so it's going to destroy all 3 mountains, and then all the creatures are going to take 3, and so are the players.
And so are the players.
Which is going to bring Steven down to 4. All right, so now Martin doesn't have a mountain now, so unless he has a Psyblast, Steven's life is safe because he can just tap them on Martin.
And Steven's only got, he's gonna tap out, and so if Martin has the Psyblast, this could be good.
Yeah, Psyblast wins, but again, Martin has another.
Oh,
yeah, there it is.
Brutal.
Wow.
Very good play. Volcanic Eruption usually wins the game, according to Steven.
Yeah, Volcanic Eruption seems pretty good.
Well, because part of that interesting interpretation that we have is that you don't have to have... There doesn't need to be mountains in play for it to work.
Right.
The way that the alpha version is phrased on the card, there's like this comma, and it makes it as if it's 2 separate effects, not necessarily contingent.
And it doesn't say it doesn't say target, right?
Right. So I believe it's
so because it doesn't say target,
it's like does this damage and destroys these mountains. It's not destroys this. Does this damage if it destroys these mountains.
Right.
So it's not bad, but because of the way we did that interpretation, we did restrict it to a 1-of. So it gives players who play blue that maybe can't afford to buy the really expensive power cards. An interesting card in blue that's very affordable and reasonable, and it keeps the games interesting.
Reasonable and affordable in price in perspective when in comparison to other cards in Alpha 40.
So like if you're gonna play blue and you don't want to spend $6,000 on an Ancestral Recall, you can spend $200 or $230 or $250 or whatever they go for Volcanic Eruption, and it's still a very good playable card.
Mm-hmm. No, Volcanic Eruption is restricted to 1.
Restricted to 1 because of the way that we did the interpretation.
Right.
We see, playing it as it's commonly understood now under contemporary rules, it's almost unplayable. Much in the same way as, like you mentioned, with like red or blue elemental blast, it just wouldn't see play. So there was actually some historical precedent for this kind of oddball interpretation, because of the way it was spelled out under the card. And you actually see the differences when they did later printings of the card where they did have to change it, which does lend some credence to maybe those fringe circumstances where people read it the way that we chose to kind of lean into it.
Right.
So, and that's part of the fun with Alpha 40. It's like, yes, we do have our 2020 hindsight goggles, but when we try to come up with these interpretations, we want to put that aside and almost like we only like look at it from a 1993 perspective, as if we had just opened these cards, we're in an LGS, and it's like we got to kind of figure it out on the fly, or what are the house rules going to be for our LGS, and it keeps it kind of fresh.
So if you've watched the stream in the past, then you may or may not know this, but I actually did play Volcanic Eruption in a deck recently in Old School Magic, and
how'd that go?
I used a combination of Blood Moon to make my opponent's lands mountains and Volcanic Eruption. Now, I didn't do much winning, but I had one of the greatest plays in the world happen when my opponent had 4 Serra Angels on the table, and I had exactly enough mana when I ripped my Lotus so that I could cast a Blood Moon and then get rid of all of his blue-producing lands and Volcanic Eruption for 4, taking out 3 Sarahs.
Wow. That is so cool.
So, now I'm not saying that Volcanic Eruption is a good card in old school Magic, because it definitely isn't, but that was definitely a really, really cool thing when my opponent did have 3 Sarah Angels.
That's
on
amazing.
the table.
That is so amazing.
So this game is pretty much starting out like the first game did.
Now this
land go.
What's interesting though is that since Steven lost the first game, I'm wondering if he's going to be a little bit more on tilt than maybe we've seen him in some of the other finals matches.
I don't think so. I mean, Steven is a seasoned player. He is normally well composed, and he even the finals that he ended up losing, he lost. I mean, that he ended up winning, he lost a game. And then the other one.
Oh, against Joel, right?
Yeah, against Joel, he lost a game.
There it is, Ancestral.
All right. Nyarla Top Deck, thank you for joining the stream.
With the counterspell.
Ancestral Recall is such a good card. Oh, Counterspell back. Yeah, that's how powerful that Ancestral Recall is. It's so important.
The card draw is just it's so critical. But he ended up using 2 cards to get 3 cards, but he did take away one of Martin's cards.
Right.
So,
he did.
So that's kind of good. Good comment here from Angelo. Statue proves not to be fully synergistic with mono blue. Yeah, that was a theory that I had actually had before, because the way you have to, in needing to spend the money or the mana to activate it, it doesn't. It seems almost like a little bit of a non-bow with needing to keep mana open for counterspells.
But I think that's the reason that we saw Steven earlier. He was. He wasn't attacking early because he wanted to make sure that he could play the counterspells that he had.
Which is what Angelo is pointing out as far as it's not full synergy with mono blue.
Steven just let out quite a sigh. Even after drawing 3 extra cards, he's still stuck on land, only at the 4, it seems like. Well, maybe he has something different. I definitely wouldn't count him out, though.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with his deck is if he's running a lot of power sinks and he's not keeping up with the land drops, he's going to get outpaced, pretty quick for his countering capability.
Definitely so. And the fact that Martin has red, deck lists haven't been shared, so they don't know what each other's playing. But the fact that Martin has red, it's just a threat in and of itself. Because of Fireball.
And we know he has a Shivan. So
we know he has a Shivan. We've seen a Lightning Bolt. We saw 2 Fireballs in the last game, and we saw a Psy Blast. So
I would definitely be tapping that mountain down every upkeep. Oh, there it is.
There's the Crystal Rod.
That's going to make things tough.
Chaos Orb. That's something we don't see very often in Alpha 40. He's going to go for the mountain. Oh, no, he's going to tap the mountain.
Tap the mountain during the upkeep, yeah. That's the move. That's definitely the move. Because even if he plays the other mountain, he can't play the Shivan. It messes with his tempo.
Oh, there's a mountain. Okay.
All right, but he still has
Still got a big Fireball.
Did he say he's down to 8?
He's down to 8.
He's going to start gaining life, though, with this Crystal Rod, so Martin's got to keep the pressure on. However, not having a lot of lands out, though, is a bit of an inhibitor.
Do you think we'll see Steven tap the Soul Ring on upkeep? Now that there's 2 red sources?
No, I would still tap the mountain in case there is that Shivan in the hand. That's one less thing he has to worry about countering.
Another strategic choice he could make is blow up one of the mountains with a Chaos Orb and then tap the other mountain.
Yeah.
On upkeep.
I mean, he's getting towards the range where he could get Fireball to death. I think he said he was down to 8, but he would probably...
Okay.
There you go.
There he goes. Good. He's going to Chaos Orb one of the mountains. And he hits it. Exactly. Exactly what I said he was going to do.
That's a good move. Right, because that really takes away his punch. He still has the counter punch, but there he goes with another
Or
mountain.
he could just draw another mountain.
Top deck hero.
Okay, there he goes. Okay, so he didn't get to cast anything. Martin is a very, very patient player. Something tells me that his deck is not just about sitting back and waiting and casting fireballs.
He's definitely been a little bit more aggressive with this deck than Steven has with his. Discard a power sink. Very interesting.
All right, so if he's discarding power sink, then he has other kinds of counter spells in his hand, I'm sure.
He must have some hand, yeah.
Well, I mean, he hasn't played a land in several turns.
Yeah,
so,
and power sink is kind of diminishing returns when you only have 4 total lands and the opponent has, 8 mana.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Martin wanted to see more lands.
No, Martin definitely didn't want to see more lands on Steven's side of the table. But so I've noticed that Steven has both arts for Island in his deck, and as it seems like all of Martin's mountains match and all of his islands match. Is that a stylistic choice that you see a lot in Alpha 40?
It does seem that way, and it's funny. And Martin's actually running the two my two favorites, and nobody seems to like that daytime island. Everybody likes that sunset one.
Right.
I love the daytime one. I think it's gorgeous.
Yeah, there were only those. Each basic land had 2 printings in alpha. And it wasn't until beta that a third one was introduced. Mountain, of course, the most famous mountain is the one that was reprinted accidentally in Arabian Nights with art by Doug Schuler. So you won't see that in Alpha 40.
Angela likes those ones too. And you see Steven playing a nice little Eternal Central. Looks like it says 6th place for something prize. That's
yeah,
nice.
I think that was he had a really great Grixis build that he played in Eternal Central. And I think that's what that 6th place was.
Yep. I've got a couple of Eternal Central prize cards.
Oh, yeah?
Well, not for being good. For being creative.
Spell Blast. Okay. Alright, so Steven is slowly mounting a bunch of cards.
Yeah,
A bunch of lands. He's got a bunch of blue cards in his hand. He's got a bunch of counter spells.
There was a very narrow window that Martin had, and he missed it, unfortunately.
And that Crystal Rod, I think, is actually going to come into play where it's going to end up being a pretty good card.
Right, because you can cast a counter spell and gain 5 life.
Right.
Now there actually is some talk on the table about a change in our upcoming update for the new year about that, because there's been some discussion about the fact that Crystal Rod, the fast effect, is basically at instant speed, and the counters and everything are at interrupt speed. So theoretically, is it too slow to gain life off of an interrupt? So that's kind of being talked about.
Well, there is some precedent in Magic for something along those lines. Back in 1996, when the Mirage set came out, Dark Ritual became what was called a mana source. 2 things with that was that A, it was the only card that was printed with the type mana source. They did errata other cards, but and B, the term mana source was used for a lot of people to represent either their Moxen or their Soul Ring, their Mana Rocks, or their lands, and using a term that was colloquially used for something else as something official in the game was rather interesting. But when they changed Dark Ritual to Mana Source, it was faster than interrupt speed, which meant that it could not, it was not affected by things that triggered abilities. So the entire time that Dark Ritual was a mana source, it couldn't be countered by Nether Void.
Right.
So When you
Oh,
were playing,
interesting.
when you were playing black, you could play Nether Void, and you could cast Dark Ritual, and it couldn't be countered by the Nether Void. So you would just get your 3 mana.
So we're getting down to the nitty gritty. It looks like Steven's getting pretty low on life.
That is an air elemental. I'm surprised Steven didn't activate the Crystal Rod.
He might respond, or did he not respond? Okay.
Orcish Artillery seems
he definitely doesn't
pretty
see that.
bad for Steven.
Yeah, I think Steven's got to be down to about 3 or so life. It looks like
he's pretty low. I think he's at 4.
It's hard to tell. No, he could have gained some life off the Iron One, unless he really wanted to keep the mana open for another response.
Double red.
Oof.
Okay, Granite Gargoyle.
He's gonna do something. Thinks it's 2 life, Angelo. Yeah, it's
low.
It's low single digit. It looks like on that dice. Steven's got to respond to this. A triple drop here. Look at that. Air Elemental, Artillery, and Granite Gargoyle on the same turn.
Oh, 8 and then bolt. Okay, so we must have missed more than the bolts then.
Well, we're getting so involved with our conversation. We're a lot more conversative here at 3 in the morning than I think maybe we are during the day when we do this.
Right. And the fact that you're actually here this time as opposed to last time where we were at different locations.
Oh, he let it go. He didn't do anything.
End step, tap the air element.
Okay. Now, if Steven is just sitting on counters, and Martin doesn't cast anything, he's not going to be able to gain a lot of life, but let's see what he does here.
3 mana. Are we going to see Prodigal Sorcerer?
Prodigal Sorcerer and then
Control Magic, maybe?
And gain a bunch of life, maybe?
4?
I don't know. This is a tough spot. Again, that Jade statue with the synergy issue, right? Because you maybe don't want to spend the mana. I mean, he does have the Soul Ring, so that kind of pairs nicely. But,
So 5. So what could he have for 5 mana here? Well, maybe he's looking for a little bit more. Oh, do you think he's got the... No, he can't cast the Volcanic Eruption because it would kill himself.
yeah,
That would be bad.
be awkward. That would be awkward. I mean, maybe he could do something where he casts it, but then kind of parses with some of the mana with the Crystal Rod to counteract some of the damage.
Yeah, this is true. He could cast it. He would gain the life before... well, I mean, you gain the life at the same time because everything resolves in a batch, but the net result would end up being
correct,
a positive. So,
and that would kill the gargoyle at least. And as long as he left one open
he
to
could
tap down the air elemental,
but then he'd still have to worry about the 3 cards in Martin's hand, with the 4th one that he would draw. Yeah, I think Steven has that in his hand.
And is Martin still at 20, it looks like?
I believe so. I don't think that Jade statue ended up turning sideways at all this game.
Yeah, Angelo agrees. He thinks that Volcanic Eruption for 2 has to be what he's thinking on. I think so too. I think he's trying to figure out the math to do it for the damage, maybe gain the life, but keep something open for a potential counter he has in hand.
Or at least be able to tap something down with the Icy Manipulator.
I think he's probably got to keep something open for a counter, because he doesn't just do all this and then get bolted to death.
Right. Well, he had the opportunity to gain some life. So that's what he just talked about. He just said that he needs to figure out how to gain some life. But he had the opportunity to gain life with that Air Elemental and the counter spells.
So he's got 9 mana. If he did the Eruption for 2, gain 2 off the Rod, that would be 7. That would leave him 2 mana open for a counter, but he really needs 3 open, because he wants to tap the Elemental and have 2 open for a counter spell, ideally at the end.
I mean, if Martin doesn't have another fireball, then
Yeah, see, I think he's figuring that out too.
I think that Steven would much rather that Martin has a creature in hand, not.
Oh, he's gonna do it and then go down to 1. He'll gain 1 off the rod instead of 2. He'll go down to 1 life. He'll keep 3 mana open. He'll use 1 to tap the air elemental, 2 open for a counter spell, so he doesn't get bolted to death. I think that's what's gonna happen here. Yeah, if he had 1 more mana, he could nullify the damage to himself. But he's 1 mana short, so he'll have to take 1 damage. See, I think he would love to do it for 3 though. Get rid of all those mountains, but
That would be great. But I mean, when he's at 2 life, he needs to be able to gain 2 off that. So they're bringing to 1.
I mean, we've seen Steven do creative plays like this before.
Right.
Like that time he did it with that channel.
Oh yeah, the channel with the fireball, breaking it up for what, 6 elves or something along those lines.
Yeah, some high mana, some high math there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they're asking us to unmute. Yes, sir.
So, if he plays a blue spell, will I have an opportunity to activate Crystal Rod in response, even if it's an interrupt?
I believe so. Angela, you want to chime in the chat there and just confirm that?
Angelo's watching. We're just waiting as he's typing.
I mean, because I would say so, but I want to see what Angela.
Yeah, it can be used for all spells.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, the way that they had it, the clarification document sets it up is when I play spells, it's basically an additional cost.
Right.
So, it's slightly different.
Right, you're saying when he casts it, right, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Here it casts the spell.
So let's see here. May be activated any number of times per spell cast. Must be spent at the time the spell being cast alongside with the spell's mana cost. If the spell is countered, then any mana spent this way is also considered expended, and no life is gained. So yeah, I mean, I would see. I don't see why it wouldn't be the same. You know, he would cast the counter, and then at the same time as the counter is, you know.
So the life gain would resolve the same time as the counter.
Right, or not resolve if the counter is countered.
Yeah, but life gain, if for example, he tries a side blast, and I just pay mana.
Right, yes. Correct.
Then the entire batch would resolve all at once.
Yes.
So the life gain and then the side blast.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's worried about that side blast again.
Yeah, I mean, he has to be. You know, it's just like people, if you run 1 force spike in old school Magic, you know, you counter something once with it, and now all of a sudden all your spells you have to wait until you can pay for the force spike.
I'm going to Psionic Blast, targeting the air elemental, and gain 1 life of Crystal Rod. Right. That's what I'm going to do.
Alright, so he ends up being at 1. Side blast on that. He gains 1 from the Crystal Rod.
Mm-hmm.
He takes 2 from the side blast, and then he brings himself down to 1. Alright, that's a nice heads up play there.
Yeah, not at all what I was thinking he was doing. But I bet you he had that volcanic eruption and he was doing exactly what he was thinking about doing exactly what I said.
Yeah, definitely so. With his life total on life support right now. Oh wow, he is getting in there.
He's like, hey, why not? Interesting.
Tapping the gargoyle.
So you were mentioning about the blue elemental blast, red elemental blast. See, I would be just crazy enough to make a red and blue deck that ran those along with some Chaos Lace, Thought Lace, or Slate of Mind, or something like that.
See, if I were to play Alpha 40 and I put red elemental blast and blue elemental blast in my deck, I would not play against the opposing color the entire league.
You would be that lucky, yeah.
Steven showing his...
Just under
Psy Blast, Counter Spell, Spell
Very-
Blast, a couple of Power Sinks.
It's a gorgeous graveyard.
Yeah, it definitely is a gorgeous graveyard.
He's only got 2 mana untapped. He's down to 1. I mean, if Martin just has 2 things to throw at him, I don't know what he's gonna really do.
It would have to be 2 direct damage spells, though.
Sure, a fireball and a bolt, or 2 fireballs.
So I mean,
He's
if
got enough mana.
if he's got 2 permanents, though,
That's true.
Even 2 permanents would be fine as long as they're not something that.
All right, here we go.
As long
Phantasmal
as they're not
Forces.
something with flying, but
Yeah.
Phantasmal Forces has flying, obviously.
There's an ongoing debate about which one is better, Phantasmal Forces or Phantom Monster.
Counterspell?
Right. Well, that was the right thing to do.
I mean, obviously, yes.
Survive another turn.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
The discipline.
Martin is just like, why did I not have another spell to throw at him?
Mhm. The discipline, though, from Steven right there, with not countering the first thing that
Incredible.
went
Very good, yeah.
that went onto the battlefield, and I mean,
Phantasmal Forces is a 4/1. You have to pay 1 in the upkeep. Is that correct?
Martin obviously doing the right thing by trying to put 2 spells out.
And you now have 4 mountains in play. Is that correct?
Oh, here we go.
You
See,
now have
I knew it.
4
He
mountains
had it
in
his
play.
hand.
Is
He
that
had it.
correct?
He had it in his hand.
Mhm.
Granite Gargoyles is you pay a red and it gains a toughness. Is that correct? Correct. All right. That's just lovely. Wow.
Yeah, because now he can't do it for enough to kill the gargoyle.
Yeah, but he still has
He still has the icy.
the icy. So even if he does it for 1, and it kills 1 mountain, he gains the life back, and it kills the Phantasmal Forces. He can tap down the
That's
the
kind
gargoyle.
of I mean, that's a sick combo. Crystal Rod and Volcanic Eruption. I had not considered that. I don't know why, but it's kind of interesting. It's very, that's very ingenuitive. Is that a word?
I think so.
Okay.
I'll allow it. This early in the morning. Yep, that works.
So,
You guys watching the stream, you can't see, but Martin is actually sitting in front of an open window, and it is 8:45 in the morning where
Bright
he is.
sunlight.
Bright sunny day.
that's correct. I'm out of regular town. How many cards are in your library, by the way?
How many cards are in your library?
Oh man.
That is a question.
Not loaded at all. He has plenty.
So who has a brain geyser in their hand? Hmm.
I think that's the 14 Yeah.
He's like, yeah, too many. I mean, I've lost games like that. I think I mentioned it last time. I got Ancestral Recall to death.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Like you gotta be okay with that. So the other day on stream, Joe Freshwater cast a Leviathan against me.
Oh my god.
Like you can't be upset with that.
Did he hard cast it?
He hard cast it.
Wow.
Yes, he did. Now
You don't see that every
he
day.
had the he had life tap, so he tapped his Vesuvian Doppelganger, which was a copy of My Mahamati Jin, to get 6 mana from the life tap to help him cast it. But even still,
Well,
he did cast a Leviathan.
Volcanic Eruption uses 4 to kill the damn gargoyle. And I still wouldn't be able to survive that because I have to pay. I mean, I can wipe. Yeah, that wouldn't work. This doesn't work. So.
I think
I've
you,
get rid of a lot of your islands.
I think Steven's too focused on
Yeah.
trying to get rid of both. So I think he just has to
Sorry.
concentrate on Volcanic Eruption for 1 that gets rid of the Phantasmal Forces, and then he still has the Icy so that he can tap down the Gargoyle. Martin, if he had another spell, he would have cast it last turn.
Yeah.
Alright, so what's he going to do?
I mean, he could do the Eruption for 1 and then even gain extra life.
He could.
All right. I'm just gonna take a risk.
Oh boy.
Assuming you probably aren't holding a well.
He's
He's
like,
gonna
well,
he's gonna talk himself out of whatever play it was.
No, I think you had the right idea, Rich. That would be the safe play, but we don't know everything he has in his hand, so.
Particularly useful at this moment. So I'm going to. I'll just go all in on this. I'm going to cast a Prodigal Sorcerer and attempt to gain 5 life.
Prodigal Sorcerer gained 5 life.
You go to 6 then.
It brings him up to 6. Okay, so now he can tap down the Phantasmal Forces.
In your upkeep, I'll tap the Phantasmal Forces.
Yeah, he taps the Phantasmal Forces. He takes the hit from the Gargoyle.
Isn't okay? He gained 5 life,
He
so now
gained
he's at
5 life
6.
off the Timmy. Yeah. Yeah, so now, as long as he survives this turn, he can deal a point to the Phantasmal Forces and kill it at any point in time
Yep.
because it's a 4-1. And then he can continue to tap down the Gargoyle and live to see another day.
4.
And this could have just gone completely either way, depending on what Martin drew or didn't draw.
I think Martin would have played whatever. If he drew something, he would have played something.
One of them is probably volcanic eruption.
It is.
One of them is probably volcanic eruption. It is. There's no bluffing involved right now.
4 islands, 6 islands, 7 islands.
So remember that debate I was mentioning about Phantom Monster versus... I think versus the Prodigal Sorcerer, you'd want Phantom Monster.
Well, obviously you would want Phantom Monster. Now, if I were playing it in old school Magic, I would prefer to have a Phantasmal Forces because Phantasmal Forces can trade with a Serendipity Freet.
Yeah. Or a Sarah Angel.
All right, Martin's got something. He has something, or is he just moving all of his mountains together?
If he's like slow rolling an X spell.
It's more interesting, I'm sure, for the viewers if they know I have it.
Yes, Steven's right. It is interesting for us viewers. But he's been telecasting that volcanic eruption for a while.
Moving all the mountains.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, let me make it easy for you.
Yeah, I'll make it easy for you. Let's tap all of them. I mean, he's going to lose to Timmy, though.
Angelo seems to think that maybe Martin's considering playing an Orcish Artillery.
But if there's a volcanic eruption, then he can't. I mean, he could.
He could, but
it
it's
would just
sort of
lose
pointless.
another. All right, so he's going to play a blue spell. Do you think he's going to play Steel Artifact? How great would a Steel Artifact be right here?
on the Jade statue. And
I think it would be great on anything, honestly, because of the fact that if he plays Control Magic on Timmy, okay,
Oh,
that's kind of a waste, though. If
Well,
volcanic eruption is there,
he's forcing him to play the eruption.
right?
Draw. It's an island.
Oh, he needed that land.
It definitely changes the math.
Mm-hmm.
Not violence.
No.
All right, so Steven's at 4. So he can Volcanic Eruption for 4 and only have to gain 1 life.
How many mountains? The 4 mountains, right?
Yeah, but now that gargoyle, he can go 6 toughness.
This is true.
So I'm going to obviously try and destroy all the mountains.
Obviously.
Yeah, but then he still has the Icy Manipulator.
Right. Martin has not played any shatters, so either he's not drawing them or he doesn't have them.
4 mountains. That will destroy everything, and I can gain. I'm at 4 life. And I would be at 2. That's too close to damn near dying. If I did that, I don't really have much of an option, do I? Or do I?
This is kind of what I meant about being on tilt. Like he starts to overthink it. You know?
I don't think he's on tilt, though. I mean, he's just trying not to lose. He
Right.
he wants us to go to
Of
game
course.
3.
Future,
If we have a game 3, we could probably catch breakfast.
And I know for a fact that Steven is going to go back and watch this stream afterwards.
Yeah.
So, what does this mean? You know, for 1,
Angelo says, if Martin is holding a counterspell, he has balls of steel. Well, yes.
I think I probably actually would have to take out the mountains. So I do it for, if I do it for 4, I have to gain at least 1 life to survive. I can gain 2, putting myself at an oh so uncomfortable 2.
I mean, I like seeing Steven's thought processes.
Yeah,
In
I,
these
I, I like
exchanges.
I like that in the stream he talks his through his options.
Yeah.
Like in a Magic tournament, you might not actually see that. You do see it in streamers who play Arena or Moto.
Right.
And then you could just, if you hit draw a fireball, I'm just dead. You have seen a lot of fireball disintegrate your deck, so I don't know. I guess I'll go to one. I'll go to one and take out all your mountains and kill all your creatures except for the gargoyle. I assume you're going to pump the gargoyle to keep it on.
Yeah, so you do it for. Can you see all the?
Sure. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, and then I gain 2 life. So I go to 6, and then I guess it's down to 2.
So you go to 2.
Yeah.
So he thought he was going to put himself at 1.
Take 4 as well.
Yes.
But he's got 1 mana up, so that he could use his.
And the mountains die, right?
Did he actually cast the volcanic? I didn't see the volcanic eruption come out of his hand.
Go
Yeah. Where is it? I'm sure he'll. No? Wait.
He has it, I'm sure. Maybe we just missed it.
That was
I'm-
a critical turn.
He's not going to, like,
I think I
play it again, but.
Alright, draw. I think I just gained control.
All right, so now any spell in his deck
How many
ends up
cards are in your library?
gaining a whole bunch. How many cards are in your library? So he's got Brain Geyser in his hand.
16.
Alright, I have 12.
But surely he would have seen it in his hand
I have 5 islands and a soul
and
ring.
realized he didn't drop it into the graveyard. Or did he put it under the
He might have put it
under the
underneath
prodigal
the
sorcerer and we didn't see it? Okay.
Yeah. So I'm sure it's not in his hand. He's been talking about it for a while.
Yeah.
I will
He's like, can I just last?
animate Jade Statue.
Can I just last long enough to be able to bring Geyser him to death?
Yep, 10.
Oh, sorry, I actually put the...
Okay.
There-
All right,
okay.
there he goes.
Sorry about that.
We knew he had it.
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry, so what's your life now?
He's so deep in thought,
Right.
you know, which I don't blame him for. You're right. I mean, he's trying not to lose, and it's such a tight game. I mean, I love the level of kind of
You have
just
2 cards in hand?
competition here. Not to say it's like hyper competitive, but I mean, it is the finals, right? So you have 2 like really good players with tight decks, and it's coming so close to these like nitty gritty plays. Like one slight misplay would be all it would take.
You have a bunch of cards.
Yeah, a bunch of cards.
You have a bunch of cards, yes. When you're a blue mage, anything over 1 card is a bunch of cards. Mamari Jin.
Okay. I will gain a lot of life from that.
Sweet.
Let me just consider this carefully. Let me think.
Yeah, because if he counters it, he can't gain life. Well, he can gain life off his
3,
counter.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
He can gain 8.
1 up.
That is a lot. He has 1 up, but what's he going to cast for 1 blue? An Ancestral Recall?
Did you say you played a mountain? That's a mountain?
No, I have no mountains. Only islands.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Steven's overthinking this. I think he just gains a life. Even if he gains 8 life here,
Well, maybe he wants to power sync it for
Yeah.
2 and then gain a bunch of life off the power sync.
it could happen.
You have 10? Your turn?
Alright, he goes up to 10.
Yeah, just gain 8.
And this is why these life gain artifacts are brutal when they
Yep.
get going.
After all, another island. I'm gonna play another icy.
Oh
Oh,
man.
I see number 2. Okay.
Oh gosh.
So we're both at 10, right?
Rough.
Alright.
That's rough.
Go ahead. And you're upkeep, I'll tap both your creatures.
could come down to that brain geyser.
It could, because Steven has a couple fewer cards than in his deck because of the ancestral than Martin has.
Or is he just going to beat his face in with the Jade statue finally?
He could end up beating face with that Jade statue.
How many cards do you have left?
Just 3.
Just 3.
Just.
How many cards do you have? Mono blue. Just 3.
Yeah, how many cards are in here?
13.
So many.
Okay.
So many.
9, I guess.
So Martin needs to draw a counterspell and hold it onto the counterspell for the lethal brain geyser. That is inevitably going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
Is Martin playing more than 40, I think?
He's playing 41.
Okay.
Spoiler alert.
This game just feels like so much longer than that. He still has 13 cards left.
Your turn.
See, now Martin's got a bunch of cards in hand, but I'm guessing he's a little stuck. Maybe it was destroying the mountains that did it, you know?
It could be.
Oh,
Jade
no.
statue getting in there. He's down to 4.
Down to
So
4.
Side Blast for the win.
Go ahead.
Somebody was trying to post a link, it looks
Yeah,
like.
that's probably a bot.
Let's tap them off a Modi in your upkeep. And thinking about tapping the Soul Ring. The only problem with that is that I still have to get through with the Jade statue.
Yeah, but you could get through with this Jade statue on your own turn by tapping the creatures.
Now I'm wondering what's going on here. Maybe there it
There's
is.
the mountain.
Okay. I was about to say, like, I was wondering if he was just dead in the water here, but
But, I mean, Steven's
A
at 10
Rock of
life.
Courages.
Rock of Courages. 3/3 flyer for 4. Speaking of...
it's the red Phantom Monster.
Yeah, Phantom Monster.
And Steven can't gain like 9,000 life off of it.
Can you just double check exactly?
12. 12 cards left in his deck. So Steven has enough mana right now to bring Geyser for lethal with no counterspell backup.
Oh, right. Yeah, because you're going to want to be able to counter a counter or some such.
Oh, wait, no. He's only got 13. Excuse me. He's only got 13. So, I mean, he could bring Geyser for 11 and have a scary turn, I guess. He could draw, play a land, and bring Geyser for 12 with no counterspell backup.
Each turn it's going to get successively easier. Not to state the obvious.
Mm-hmm.
Does the rock resolve?
I'm thinking, trying to think. If
He's
I can,
trying to not die.
Alright, we're just crossing the 1 hour point into this match.
power sync that.
Power sync.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4. You have exactly 4 islands, right? Right. So I'll just do it for 5, and I'll attempt to gain 3 life.
Your turn.
So I'm now at
13. I'm at 4.
Oh,
13 to
man,
4.
it's so brutal. I can't believe
If
this.
I draw an island, I'm just gonna guide
It
it.
seems like fortune's in Steven's
If
favor now.
he draws an island,
Alright, that's game. It's 12. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
All right, wow.
I did not see that going.
That was
way.
great. That was one heck of a comeback.
Wow, I'm almost speechless, I think. I mean, I really thought Martin had that game a couple of times.
would have been a different game if you would have attacked.
Yeah. Things would have played out a lot differently.
Mm.
That was a incredible game.
This is when you want to go to sideboards, right?
One mana life games are really overperformed.
All right, trying to bring up a little bit more of
in monocolor decks.
Steven's battlefield.
Yeah, the charms are pretty broken.
Pretty broken.
Pretty broken is definitely, yeah, something that I had commented about before with the charms.
Alrighty, roll the marbles. This is fun.
Sorry, 1 on top of 3 on top of 2.
There we go.
I'll go first.
Sure.
All right, we're back. Sorry about that, guys.
And we're back.
I have lands.
Alright, as do I.
Can we go ahead?
Can we proceed, Drew? Rich?
Yeah, you're good. There's just a hiccup with OBS.
Do it to it.
Thanks for waiting, guys.
No worries.
Everybody in the stream, sorry about that. Welcome back. We got some
Island go.
some old school Magic action with the Alpha 40 finals going on here.
Island.
Stephen Menendian, Martin Lindström, Game 3.
Feels like day 3.
It does feel like day 3, probably because of the fact that it's 3 a.m.
Island. Go.
Mountain go.
Well, that Crystal Rod is MVP that game.
Absolutely.
Mountain go.
Go ahead.
Go.
I think both players know what's up.
Go ahead.
Yeah. The games have gone exactly the same way each time, so.
I'd like to play Chaos Orb.
You would like to.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Chaos Orb's a fun card. Unfortunately, we did have to do a ruling where it only affects one card. We basically adopted their normal, Eternal Central
Is this my
Old school
old
Magic
school
rules.
ruling for, yeah, especially for online play. I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
I'll
Lightning Bug?
lightning bolt. Yeah.
You must have 7 cards in there.
It would be way more fun, though, if you could just, take out lots of stuff. But
Right. There are a lot of people who think that Chaos Orb should be changed. I am not one of them. I like how Chaos Orb works.
change to what?
Changed to back the original way that
Oh,
it
yeah.
works. Then you
Well, yeah, but
wouldn't
then
see play.
everybody would have to have 6 foot of table space, right? Everybody
Right.
would just play in Chaos Orb, defense mode, right?
Okay, the forces.
Phantasmal
Phantasmal
Forces.
Forces.
Love me the 4/1 flyer.
Yeah, you are very fond of that one.
Interesting.
It's got great art.
It does.
I'd like to cast Ancestral Recall targeting me.
Yep.
Is he digging for a counter?
He can't counter it though.
Oh.
Interrupt window's already closed. He cast an instant, so he can't cast an interrupt.
Sure.
They both resolve at the same time.
Side blasted.
Ooh, wasting a side blast on it.
The interrupt window is already closed.
Comfortable
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. Yeah, I'll have to give that one some thought.
Yeah, because interrupt is a faster speed in
Right.
alpha than instant is. So once you cast the instant, that means that the interrupt window has closed.
No, I think you might be right.
Yeah.
I have to reread that section in the alpha rulebook just to
How many cards do you have left?
I think I have 6.
wrap my head around that
and
one.
then that's why Library of Alexandria is better with everything at instant speed as opposed to interrupts existing, because you can tap, draw a card, or like JMD Tome and such. Tap, draw a card if you don't have the answer,
And then you
can still
can draw
do it.
the answer.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's where my mind tends to default to,
Right,
especially at 3:10 in the morning.
right.
I don't know that Steven knew that though. It
I
sounded
think
like-
he knew it, but wasn't thinking that.
Right.
Air Elemental.
It looks like we got some resolution loss here on Martin's feed.
Yeah, I mean he is 6 hours across the pond, so
Unacceptable. Technology has to get better.
yeah. So the camera that's pointed to his face that we're not showing on stream is crystal clear.
Very clear. Did that flip all the way? I don't know.
You aim with your.
I was using this as the. Sorry, I thought it was obvious.
I wasn't paying enough attention.
Keep wrong.
No worries.
In webcam games, sometimes when an orb flips real fast, the camera isn't going to catch the actual flip.
Yeah, Angela says Ancestral and Phantasmal resolve at the same time.
Right,
Which is
what we
why
said.
you can't dig for the interrupt, right?
Yeah.
Because they're already resolved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because in the alpha rulebook, everything resolves at the same time in batches, basically. Unless there's a conflict. If there's a conflict, then they would resolve one at a time.
Whoa. Wait a second.
Upton Troll.
Upton Troll.
Oi, oi, oi.
Yeah, correct. It regenerates for one red.
For anyone who doesn't know, the flavor text is oi, oi, oi.
Oh, is that what it is?
See, even Rich didn't know that.
I was not aware of that. I don't play the troll very often. Yeah, Lindström deck does have
Quite the
spice.
variety.
Yeah.
On your end step, I'll ping you.
See, we tend to get used to seeing decks with 6 or 8 of the same card over, and then
Right.
he's got all these different cards. And that's great.
He's got
I mean, it's-
a variety of cards in his deck when it comes to win conditions.
and
This game has
it
turned
probably
out more to my liking. I don't know if I'm gonna win, but this is.
it probably keeps you on your toes.
I
I
can
mean,
imagine. Haven't done anything all game basically.
I hate to ask this, but how many cards are in your library?
oh my gosh.
How many cards in your library? Rock of Courage is over Phantom Monster might make him a hero.
Plus 4.
Yeah, with the crystal rod in the table.
Oh, plus 3. Says I started.
Rock of Courage is also a rare, correct?
Yes, Rock of Courageous is a rare. Yeah, because it's a red flyer. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Is Dragon Whelp a rare or an uncommon in alpha?
it's an uncommon.
You know what? I just lost track of whether I played Nile this turn. Maybe Rich. Did you notice if I played Nile?
Yeah, you did play one.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Good eye.
Mm-hmm.
So how many cards did you have in your
Yeah, that's an interesting point. So, yeah, Dragon Whelp is uncommon, but Rock of Courageous is rare.
Yeah, so Dragon Whelp is uncommon, Rock and Gargoyle
Mm-hmm.
and Shivan are all rare.
I like how they did that with the original set, where you would have some stuff that was kind of almost like color pie stretching, and so they would adjust it with the rarity, kind of like
there
in,
was no color pie.
Well,
But yeah.
to a bit. Like with green, you would have Timberwolves at rare because it has banding, which banding is typically a white, a white color ability.
Well, back in Alpha, they put things in.
hockey resist?
in different colors. I mean, think about it. Psionic Blast. Blue got everything. Blue had direct damage and
Right.
Psionic Blast. You know, it had Efficient Creature with Air Elemental and Mahamati Jin. Had the counter spells, which were the answer to everything. What was Blue's weakness? Artifacts. Enchantments. But you could just say no to all of those.
Right. I mean, their creatures weren't typically. Blue's creatures aren't typically as strong.
There's a really good chance I'll have to discard.
But you can also steal and copy everything anyway.
Right.
So.
I know what it probably will be.
Yeah, Steel Artifact.
Yeah, control magic.
Control
Clone.
Magic. Clone. Vesuvan Doppelganger. And
We're
Copy
pure
Artifact.
cards. This is an opportunity for me to go in. Right? Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Go for it.
You would do it. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Now go for
Drawing
it.
4 cards. Seems good.
Angela says there's no good ground creatures in blue, really. I mean, I guess there was Watermellow. Sea Serpent says hi.
Lord of Atlantis. Although in Alpha 40, Lords of Atlantis don't affect each other. In contemporary Magic, Lords of Atlantis do affect each other.
Sea Serpent called. No. That was the back of the day play. Sea Serpent, Phantasmal Terrain.
I would like to. Actually, no. Actually, I think I'm gonna let that resolve. Actually,
Yeah, Lords are not great, except for Goblin King because he counts as a goblin.
can you? On your end step, so you're at 16.
16 turn clock with the Particle Sorcerer.
Right.
I'm gonna steal your artifact.
Steel Artifact.
Didn't see that from Steven before, I don't think. Did we?
Not yet, no. But,
Try to counterspell.
ooh, counter it back. Counterspell the counterspell.
Oh.
Nice little counter war there on the Steel Artifact. So it's
Yep, it's yours.
Can the team verify whether I played an island this turn? Just lost track again. I honestly can't remember.
you did not this time.
You're killing me, Smalls.
Okay. Alright. Go ahead.
When did they make that change to the Lords? Because, see, I had this.
Like 6th edition, I believe.
Was it that far back? Because I had a gap where I didn't play for a number of years
might
in
have been-
between, but
Might have been later than that.
yeah,
I'll just have it kill itself.
I had a gap where I didn't play after Mirrodin for a number of years. So, and I didn't recall that until when I got back in later. Lord of Atlantis was suddenly a thing, and I think it was because of some change.
No,
where
it
affected
wasn't.
each
It
other.
wasn't 6th edition because the 6th edition Lord of Atlantis still has the creature type Lord. So sometime between 6th edition and 7th edition, no, not even. In 7th edition, it was still creature type Lord. So sometime after 7th edition and before Time Spiral.
Time Spiral was 2006, I believe.
Time Spiral is 2006. Yes.
How many cards do you have now?
I have
Yeah.
4 cards.
Yep. And 7th edition was 2001.
I just happened to randomly remember that because I had a beta signed Lord of
Yeah.
Atlantis, and I was wondering why it was going up in value, like during my when I didn't play, and I'd be like, "Hey, I wonder if that's worth anything nowadays." Oh, we got an earthquake going on.
So sometime after the turn of the century. How does that phrase make you sound? Makes me sound old.
Tell me about it. All right, so we had a nice little earthquake going on there.
Now I need a wing condition. You can go in your upkeep. I'll tap an island.
Tapping islands now during the upkeep.
Fireball you for 6.
Fireball for 6.
Now you're at 11 cards.
Sorry, 11. I'd be at 5. Sorry, I misspoke. I do that. My head. It's 12, almost 12:30 here. So,
Oh, boo-hoo. Almost 12:30
It's
in
almost 12:30.
California, and it's 20 after 3 here in New York.
I don't know about you, Rich, but my wife still expects me to be up in the morning for Thanksgiving Day parade and all that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, my son doesn't know that I'm staying up late, and he'll be up at 6:30 or
Oh, yeah, kids-
7 o'clock,
yeah.
no matter what. So, power sync on the fireball.
there we go. Crystal Rock.
Crystal Rod.
Groan.
Go ahead.
Poor
The
Martin.
win con you needed.
The win con he needed.
Oh.
Crystal Rod with 9,000 islands out. This is going to be a really, really tough uphill battle. I mean,
Another fireball.
You got a 5?
he's down to 3 cards in hand. So,
Aren't you
Yeah.
ignoring
I know.
fireballs?
I did say that. Yeah, I'll go to 5.
Takes it.
what I kind of like about Martin's deck though is that like it doesn't have to all be 1-for-1s. He does have the creatures and stuff. I mean, albeit Steven has.
How many cards again? 3?
Good morning from overseas. I love the
weeks.
smell of black borders in the morning. Yes, absolutely.
All right, now we have a statue.
Go ahead. In your upkeep. I'm not going to do anything. Go ahead.
No sense in doing anything now. Wait till the threat hits the table, and then you can start tapping it down.
Let me, in your draw step, actually, I'm going to tap on your island.
During
You draw
wait,
step,
during your
definitely.
draw step.
Yeah.
Is that,
Hey, whatever.
You're going to tap on.
Yes. In your draw step.
And how many?
1,
I have
2.
7 islands left.
like, do I want to cast a blue thing? No.
You have 3 cards in here?
I have 4 now.
I kind of almost hope he activates the statue and then he just gets double bolted. I don't know.
Doesn't feel it.
That would be interesting. Yeah, so in Alpha 40, you can't say bolt, see if it resolves, and then once it resolves, bolt again, right? Because we'd have to do both of them at the same time.
No, I mean you could let it resolve and then it has 3 damage sitting on it and then just
Do it another point.
do it another one and have a different separate batch.
He did have 2 bolts, so he...
How many cards do you have left?
1 card.
Alright, I'll just play... I'll play Counterspell and gain 3 life.
So that leaves
So
him.
that's
It's the net
back-
same.
Yeah, so he took the 3,
Yes.
and then he didn't take the other 3, so he ends up back at 6. Or 5, excuse
5.
me.
Disintegrate 5.
Oh.
So how much is that for?
Disintegrate
No.
for 5.
Power Sync.
Power
Son
Sync
of
for
a
1.
bitch.
Wow, tapping that island was clutch.
Victory feels so close and yet so far away with this statue. Alright, and
Wow.
attack.
What a match this is turning out. This has been. I mean, the back and forth is just incredible.
5.
Upkeep.
Yeah.
And Martin's composure is just rock solid.
Okay, you go.
Tap 2 of your islands on your end step.
I don't have any cards.
I want to do it this way. Tap it.
All right, so Martin's out of cards.
10.
Okay. You're 10. Go ahead.
Upkeep.
He's at 10.
Roll. Okay.
Fat Moody. Yeah, I'm not countering fat. I will gain a bunch of life. But
I'm not countering, but I'm going to gain a bunch of life.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'll gain 10. I'll go to
That puts the game out of reach.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
Crystal Rod. Who would have thought?
That's the advantage of
Oh.
having
Some of us thought.
Okay, I'll cast another Jade statue and I'll attack you first.
I'm going to search the internet now for Alpha Crystal Rods to see.
They're like $20,
Yeah.
I think. 20, 25, $30 at the most, I think. Unless you're trying to get like super crispy ones.
You don't need super crispy ones.
No.
Sure. More fun.
You go.
Tap it.
24 bucks.
And that was part of it too. With so that interpretation with the unlimited thing, that wasn't something that we came up with. We kind of inherited that, or adopted that from the Wizards tournament rules and stuff like
Which
that.
it kind of makes sense, though. It does say that it's a poly artifact.
Right.
So, obviously, the intention with current wording, current rules, is the intention is that you would use it once per spell.
Yes.
So, but poly artifact means that you can activate it multiple times.
Did Martin concede, I guess, or did he actually win?
No, it's like a bad matchup.
Oh, gentlemen, you guys gave us some good content there.
That was really entertaining.
That was
And
amazing.
just incredibly frustrating for Martin.
Yeah.
Well, because that game too, I watched you, Martin,
Whoops.
like almost have it at least twice, and it was just, like if he had just drawn like an X spell instead of a dud or something a couple of times, it would have been it.
In game 2, when he tapped down and passed the turn, I was tapped down. He didn't play a counterspell, he didn't play a fireball, so I knew he had neither, or burn spell, because I would have just been dead. So I could make all my plays on the assumption he didn't have them, and he had one turn to draw one.
Yep.
I untapped and I had the advantage at that point.
That was absolutely astonishing what happened, gentlemen.
And you broke Crystal Rod in half.
Yeah. Yeah. Buy your crystal rods now, chat. So you can do that. All right.
I mean,
so,
that was the MVP card. We were commenting when you couldn't hear us, but that was the MVP card. Game 2 especially.
All right. So we've got Martin's deck showing on the stream right now. And one thing that Drew and I spoke about beforehand was the fact that if Martin could win the die roll and stick threats early, he would have been in good shape. But, Martin, you won the die roll, played first in 2 games, but you didn't do any threats early. And
no, my last hand was all lands and burn spells.
Yeah.
That
So,
doesn't really do anything against
Orcish
lands.
Artillery, you got the Prodigal Sorcerer, you got the Uthden Troll, you got the Granite Gargoyle, you got Dragon Whelp, you've got Phantasmal Forces, you got Rockaker Ridges, Air Elemental,
Yeah, but they're
Mahamati, and Shivan.
all of my threats are basically too slow.
And my
against
hat is
Steven's
off to you,
deck.
sir, for the variety. I absolutely, when I saw this picture, I loved the fact that it had so much different stuff in it. It's a lot of eye candy, and really enjoyed that.
I have an alpha collection where I'm trying to get one of every card.
That's awesome. It was just really neat to see, because a lot of times, especially when you get to these the finals, you see a lot of decks with just like lots of multiples of certain cards, and so it was neat to see so many different kinds of creatures. One thing I noticed immediately, I was like, oh, he's not running any shatters.
Martin, I thought you were going to be playing blue-white or the deck, and that's actually the reason.
I wish.
That's actually the reason I didn't attack in game 1. One of the main reasons is because I didn't want to walk into shatters.
Yeah,
that's actually what's going on. But by the way, I don't. If you still, I'll let you finish up the interview. I want to show you guys something in a minute, though.
Oh, okay.
All right.
So, the only card, Martin, that you have multiples of, you've got multiples of 3 fireballs and 3 lightning bolts. Everything else is one-ofs. Now, it just seemed like you had multiple counterspells because you were just counterspelling things at key times.
It really did, actually. Yeah.
No, it's just the one.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the first league I play, so I probably would have built the deck a little bit differently. I mean, I have some power sinks, and one or two of those.
I mean,
should
you being your
be in
first
the
month playing, it wasn't a shabby turnout. I mean, you made it all the way to the final.
It was fine. It was fine.
Yeah.
And I could tell just the way you were playing. You're a very good player.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's 8 in the morning here. I'm all fresh.
This is true.
It's worse for Steven, I think.
Mm-hmm. And now we've got Steven's deck on the stream, and we're just gonna have to highlight that crystal rod because of how awesome that was.
Yeah, that worked out really, really well. And
so
volcanic.
How many crystal rods does he have?
Just the one.
Just the one.
Just the one. Oh, yeah.
Just the one. But yeah, crystal rod with volcanic eruption. Now, I hadn't really considered that or thought about that before, but that really created some interesting math for you, Steven, huh?
Yeah. It really was complicated. That's why I had so many different lines of play. I mean, I had at one point in game 2, I was holding Brain Geyser, Volcanic Eruption, a Psionic Blast, a Power Sink, and a Prodigal Sorcerer with Crystal Rod in play. So I had legitimately like all these different kinds of options, where I could play the Tim and gain some life. I could could try and just. I think the final decision I made was the eruption. It won life, right? It's like, let me just bank shot this.
Yeah.
It was just. I mean, as the game progressed, I kept getting hemmed into in game 2, I was really hamstrung by only having 4 islands for like an inordinate long period of time.
Yes.
And the thing is, I don't know if he was playing blue-white control or if he was playing the deck, I would have a much better read on what his configuration is, but I just had no idea what he was playing. And so I didn't know, for example, whether he had power sinks, how many counter spells he had, whether he had spell blasts, whether he had shatters.
Yep.
So I'm like trying to play around like the maximum range of things.
Right, because you were considering like the types of meta that either you would play or that you've seen, but meanwhile Martin's deck was just so completely untraditional.
It really was, and I don't know if maybe you can. I want to show you my screen for a second. So this is a little gem that.
Can you go to his screen?
Hang on 1 second. Let me.
He has to toggle.
Yeah.
So this is, we're not supposed to show this online. This was an item, a fanzine that Magnus created for the Wizards tournament. And this is the Prodigal Sorcerer 1. So I don't think he'd be too upset if I showed off just one small thing in here besides the cover.
All right, hold on one moment. All right, let me.
Are you not on there yet?
I'm getting there. Hang on.
Rich is doing technical mumbo jumbo here.
Yeah, I had to create a new scene real quick.
He's trying to make it so people can see your view really well here.
Okay.
All right.
So I'll just describe this a little bit.
There we go. It's up there on the screen now.
Magnus Delaval created this magazine. Martin, I assume you have one, right?
No.
It was like 5 sec. It was like 5 sec or some small, like a couple dollars. This is a really cool magazine. So it's a fanzine that he created for the Wizards Tournament 2.
Oh.
And okay. In here is a report from the first Wizards Tournament, and this is Martin. This is Magnus's match against Martin, and he described Martin playing his blue-red deck here.
Oh, get out!
That is awesome.
That's very cool. Now, if correct me if I'm wrong, but the intent there, like when you say like, well, you're not really supposed to show it online, is because the idea is that they try to emulate like basically 1993 in all aspects, including like technology and like kind of flow of information, right?
Let me just read you the interior boilerplate here. This is the articles and photos were created as a labor of love, and we kindly ask that you don't distribute them yourself without express approval of the editor. This includes, but is not limited to, making your own photocopies or taking any scans of the pages or putting them on a BBS or any other online location. This doesn't include the checklist at the end. You are fully free to share that one in any way you see fit to help others with their collections. The Prodigal Sorcerer #1 has a total print run of 120 copies. Right. And it goes on to say where it's distributed. So it doesn't expressly prohibit me from showing it on a
no, but it's part of the
screen. But it's
like part of the ethos, right? Where it's like they even the way they word that and they write that there, you can tell it's like with these like 1993 goggles on, right? Like don't share it on a BBS, right. Don't make a photocopy, and I think that's part of the flavor.
Right. I just wanted to show that one little bit because Martin hasn't seen it, and so I thought he'd think it's cool that Magnus describes his map.
I imagine he's going to be messaging Magnus and saying, "Hey, how come I don't have one of these?"
Yeah, right. This was my Game 3 opening hand, by the way.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, I know.
That was your Game 3 opening hand? Wow.
Yeah.
And see now, a real interesting side note about that, Stephen, though, is that one of the things that is in discussion for the next large rules update is possibly doing a slight alteration to the mulligan rule, where instead of just being all land or no land, we may allow it to be like all but one. Like you can do a mulligan if you like, for instance, in that situation where you have 6 lands in one card, you might be able to do a mulligan.
Yeah.
So these are things again, because the idea is that we want to prevent like non-games, but also kind of keep it fair. So there's a lot of different things being kind of discussed. We want to make very, very minor changes, if any, and as minimally as possible, but things that will kind of enhance the experience.
Yeah, I don't envy the team that has to make these decisions. My friend Kevin Cronin and I are recording a podcast where we're for our 100th episode of our So Many Insane Plays show, And I'm spoiling this here, but the 100th episode includes a 12-hour review of limited edition. I'm not kidding you.
Wow.
It's probably actually much longer. I don't know how long it'll be when it's fully edited, but we've done 13 recording sessions to get through the set. It's just unbelievably long. But we spent probably an hour and a half discussing the charms, and there are at least 5 to 6 legitimately reasonable templating possibilities for the charms.
Right.
And so, that it's really just difficult to. I think the one thing I will say though is that of all the possible ways it could work, I think the one that I think is most inconsistent with the actual text of the alpha rules, first edition rules, is that you can respond to interrupts.
Yeah.
But that's a very minor point in the larger scheme of how they roll out.
No, and it was a good point. You brought that up. Actually, you were the first person to bring that up, and it was actually a really interesting, perspective. And I actually myself came up with at least I think 5 different ways that they could work. And we even tried to do a poll just to kind of see what preferences people might have. So, yeah, we're tinkering with it. I definitely think there might be some room for improvement with the speeds. Rich and I were talking about that during the gameplay. Because theoretically, like the speed on the crystal rod is a fast effect speed versus it's too slow to interact with the interrupt.
It still would be plenty fine here. I mean, I could respond to Psionic Blast. I could respond to Steel Artifact. I could respond to lots of other things. It's just, I respond to his creatures. I still would have had plenty of life gain.
Right. But it wouldn't
be quite as absurd for blue.
Being able to use it along with counter spells makes it way stronger for sure.
I have found that with this mono blue deck, that I'll say a couple things if you don't mind. You could maybe pull the deck back up and I can give you some commentary.
Yeah, we got it up there right now.
A couple things that are interesting. So when I first started messing around with this, I thought, well, what is the advantage of mono blue over blue white or over other colors? Multicolor, like a 5-color, or like we saw, it was the guy who played Joel Mick the other month in the finals, I think 2 months ago. And I came up with 3 answers to playing mono blue, having an advantage. Number 1, you have ultimate color consistency with respect to casting counterspell. Once you go into another color, it's really hard to get consistent blue, let alone if you want to double counterspell.
Right.
The second thing is that power sync is absurdly overpowered in this format, because almost probably every other match in the league for the last 2 months, I've had players not fully appreciate the power of power sync and try and respond with either fast effects or instants. They just aren't aware of the fact that I think Martin even tried to do it, and
because it's interrupt speed, so you lose the mana before you even have a chance.
No, I don't think I tried to do it.
It probably wasn't you.
Because people are used to the contemporary Magic rules where you could do that because there's no interrupt, right?
It wasn't you. It was actually another opponent I played earlier tonight. He tried to. He was considering, like, could he respond? I think he wanted to activate a pestilence.
Oh.
He can't do that. So people are constantly. They just do not understand. Like, power sync is absurdly overpowered.
Right.
Because of that mana short. It's like mana short and counterspell in the same thing. And
that's a good observation. Yeah, no, that's a pretty good point.
So mono blue's advantages are really a couple. Number 1 is you get counterspell consistency, and you get the larger array of counterspells. Number 2, you get absolute consistency with respect to Crystal Rod.
Right.
And
even then, you still only played 1.
Right. Well, but Crystal Rod is really strategically important because if it, like, invariably, at some point, even if my opponent only gets me to 10, I'm going to inflict a lot of damage to myself because I have 3 Psionic Blasts and a Volcanic Eruption. It's, for example, in the semifinals, I believe, I think I won the final game by gaining a bunch of life, and I couldn't actually win with Jade Statues because my opponent had, I think I'm confusing this with another month. But the point is that in a recent match I played, I couldn't win with Jade Statues because my opponent had Icy Manipulator superiority and their own Jade Statues. Right. So my only win condition left was Volcanic Eruption. So the game plan was just power sync them at the right time, gain enough life before that, and Volcanic Eruption is a fireball.
Yeah. No, I mean,
That's the third advantage of mono blue, which is just volcanic eruption is absurdly
Rich
powerful.
and I were discussing it a bit, and it seemed like blue definitely is very well rounded. It has a bit of everything, color pie wise. It seems like.
Well, against blue white, all they do, they just drop down Sarah's, and all you do is just blast them, right? What gets tricky, well, there's a way you could build blue white that I think could be really tricky for me, but for the most part, blue white just lacks the mana consistency. They're not going to be able to consistently get over on me in terms of because I have power sinks and counter spells,
right?
So I feel like my deck is both really good against, like, by the way, the reason I have one Tim and one volcanic eruption is basically because of elves. I want to have.
That's a fantastic point. I mean, you run against one of those elf decks.
Yeah.
How do you feel with the
you can't really
Jade
be
statues?
favored against an aggressive deck, right?
What's that?
I'm talking to Steven. You can't really be favored against an aggressive deck, right?
I was completely undefeated in the month that we just played. So I played this mono blue deck now in 3 straight months, and I've lost a total of 1 match. And I've beaten goblins, black green. I can have the list somewhere else, but it's actually on my device that's recording. But I've beaten predominantly aggro decks, actually. I beat mono black. I beat black red. I beat multiple black reds. Basically, what happens is, depending on how good the deck is, like the less good decks will play like Drudge Skeletons and then like a turn 3 hippie.
Yeah,
half the time you power sync the hippie or side blast the hippie. Like if they run 3 or more dark rituals, and they go turn 1 hippie. Yeah. I actually have won one of those games just by side blast, by accelerating out an icy or just keeping the side blast in hand till I could side blast it. But the problem those decks have is that, well, usually I stabilize against black around 10 life. The dicier thing is if the deck is like heavy burn. That's when it's all I have to do is stabilize long enough to find the crystal rod most of the time, or some of the time against burn. If I find crystal rod or volcanic eruption, I usually win. Because I have ice. Jade statue is so good on defense. It's really hard for the aggro decks to come over, and so all I'm trying to do is just stabilize, right? Side blast, Jade statue, volcanic eruption, and Tim on defense. And I will have to counter a lot of creatures, right? Like I'll have to power sync creatures until I can stabilize. And then once I stabilize and not lose, then I can Geyser or Ancestral, and then I pull ahead.
How did you feel about the Jade statues? Because it seemed at a couple points that there was a little bit of a synergy conflict with needing to keep the mana open for counters and then or using it for Jade statues.
Jade statue is by far the best creature in this league, and I'm so thankful Martin didn't have them because I probably would not have. I'm dead serious. I'm not saying that.
I'm not saying it's not a good creature. I was just wondering, like, how you kind of found it with the balance with the counter spells and the power sinks.
Yeah, I'm not saying that to be glib. I'm not saying that to be snarky. I'm not saying that to be rude or unsportsmanlike. What I'm saying is that it's so by far the best creature. So think about this. His deck has like control magics, right? Like in game 1, he doesn't have shatter. He doesn't have shatter. He has control magic. If I had known his deck, I would have just attacked in game 1, and I'm not saying it would have won, but it would have been a very different game. Jade statue is just absurdly good. It can't be paralyzed. It can't be fireballed. His deck, if it was anything else, he would have fireballed all of my threats, turns earlier. It can't be terrorized. It can't be wrathed. It can't be balanced. It can't be earthquaked. It's just so pestilence. It's so immune to almost all the removal. It's just this immovable. The only thing that can really deal with Jade statue, honestly, consistently, is in a universal sense, is Icy Manipulator. And like there's Plow, Disenchant, but for all decks, it's basically just that.
Right.
I actually have to get to work, I think.
All right, yeah, we'll wrap it up. Thank you so much, Martin, for your time, and congratulations making it to the finals in your first month. Hopefully we'll be seeing more of you.
Pleasure to play you.
Did
Thank you
you,
very much.
Martin, for your first month with the league? Did you really enjoy it?
Yeah, it was fun. But then I didn't sign up for the next league because it got a bit too stressful with playing this alongside other
Right,
leagues.
right.
That
Okay,
makes
well,
sense.
hey, you catch it on some months when you can, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Yeah, that's
right.
the plan.
Thanks, guys. We appreciate you playing. We appreciate you allowing us to stream your match. Congratulations again, Steven, on another well-deserved victory.
Yes.
Congratulations, Martin, on an excellent finish, especially for your first league.
Now all the previous winners have to try and catch up.
Right.
In terms of getting two trophies, right?
Exactly.
I don't know. I think Angelo.
I'll leave you to the
Angelo has a
Steven
couple, I believe.
interview. Take care, guys. Bye.
Take care.
All
we've
right.
had
Well, thanks a lot,
we've had
Steven.
multiple players get to the finals, but we've only had this is the first repeat winner, right?
Offhand, I can't recall, but I think Angelo has won at least 2. I don't know if he's still.
He won. I know he won in April. I know he was in the finals against. Was it last month?
Yeah. I'll have to double check that, but all right. Yeah, no, I think
he says he won twice.
okay,
So,
yeah, he's won twice.
Yeah.
Which month?
Angelo, did you win back to back or did you win?
No, I don't think it was back to back. I know he won 1 month with the mono white deck.
I think that was in April, and then he was in the finals.
February
Recently.
with mono blue and then April with
mono
mono
white.
white. So not
Okay.
back to back.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
All right. Well, thanks, Steven.
All right,
Appreciate
Steven, thank you very much.
Have a great night.
Again, thanks for working with us with the time too. Congratulations. All right. Take care, man.
Appreciate it. Take care.
Bye. So, everybody, thank you for joining the stream. We
Yes.
appreciate it. We had a bit of a hiccup in the middle there,
Yes.
but everything did end up working out. Congratulations to Steven on a well-deserved victory.
it. Long
there.
match.
Very long match, but sometimes it is what it is. So thanks for everybody who
Yes.
stayed up and
Such a
watched
good match.
us.
Such a good. I mean, it was just so back and forth.
Oh, absolutely.
So
It
interactive.
was great.
And we didn't. I mean, it was definitely not a blowout one way or the other.
Mhm.
We didn't know which way it was going to go.
Yeah. So, for those who are still in the stream, please don't forget to follow, and you can join me each and every week on Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. I play 3 rounds of old school Magic with the Northern Paladins. And if you want some more information on Alpha 40, you want information on Paladin Magic that we play on the Tuesday night gauntlet, or just information on the Northern Paladins in general, just go to northernpaladins.com. So, Drew, thank you very much.
All right. Yeah.
Everybody
Thank you,
in the
Rich.
stream, thank you. And I hope that you all have a great
Yes.
day, night. Happy Thanksgiving. Take care.
Bye bye.